We have to accept appropriate risk and drive down costs in order to get capability from the lab bench to the flight line faster. But just cost-effective modernization isn't enough. The United States Air Force has to drive innovation in order to secure our future. You know, my grandfather flew just after the Wright brothers took off at Kitty Hawk, and he lived to see a man walk on the moon. Innovation is the hallmark of the United States Air Force. It's kind of in our DNA. We're all bicycle mechanics at heart. Near the end of World War II, General Hap Arnold realized that the future of U.S. national security depended on our military supremacy, and that supremacy depended on scientific research and development. In 1944, Hap Arnold met with Theodore von Karman, one of the greatest aeronautical engineers of the 20th century. He was the father of supersonic flight. They sat in General Arnold's staff car at LaGuardia Field in New York, and Hap asked von Karman to form a group of scientists who would determine how jet propulsion and atomic energy, among other things, would affect air power. That meeting would turn the United States into the world's dominant air power. Von Karman established what we now call the U.S. Air Force Scientific Advisory Board. The resulting analysis by von Karman and his team of 25 leading scientists and engineers was overwhelming. It was 13 volumes. It foretold supersonic jets and nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missiles and surface-to-air missiles. Earlier this week in our office, when we were moving some desks and offices around, one of my military aides found a copy of a memo in his desk, down in the back of the bottom drawer. It was probably left as a reminder from one of his predecessors. It was a memo from Hap Arnold, dated December 6th, 1945. It was to his successor, Tooey Spatz. And it had a lot of great advice in it, including, quote, weeding out the misfits, unfits, and partially fits, unquote. But a large part of Hap Arnold's memo had to do with research and science and innovation. And he wrote, quote, we must get more power behind our development and research programs if we're ever going to put them across. From time to time, it is important to refresh our science and technology strategy, to step back from the programs and problems of today and project 10 or 20 years into the future, to see what kind of Air Force we might have at that time. Today, I am announcing a 12-month effort to conduct a broad review and revision of our science and technology strategy. The Air Force Research Lab will lead this effort, but they will not be alone. The Air Force Scientific Advisory Board will take a look at the same question, and the National Academies of Science and Engineering will participate as well. We will listen broadly and engage those who are on the cutting edge of science so that we can focus our research efforts on the pathways that are vital to our future as a service. This strategy will guide both what we prioritize for research and how we conduct our research. It will define our highest research priorities, to be sure, but it will also help us strengthen new relationships between our Air Force and the science community, our universities, and our industry partners.